So trusting in myself, it's so many times, talking about the gut feeling, that little intuition, that little voice that says, "Ooh, maybe you should go to the right instead of the left," or maybe you should wait to do that. And so oftentimes I feel that at least I know me personally, I would blow that off. I would ignore it and do what I was going to do anyway. And then I ended up paying the price for it. And and I think that a lot of coming to this understanding, it's learning that loud noise, that isn't your intuition, that isn't your wisdom. And we get caught up in the loud, and it's like right there, this is what we have to do. There's a process and there's things that need to be done, and you have to go A, B, C, D. And um w- when there's times when if we just get quiet and listen to ourselves, our path will come out. It will actually lay itself out for us, and opportunities will fall into place. But we have to be able to trust in ourselves of, oh, well, the universe put that there for me. Or trust in yourself of, yeah, I can help people. I can help people not because I have a degree, but because I've lived life, because I've been a prisoner of the noise in my head. And that noise only got me further in a rut, you know. It just made me spiral more the more I listened to the noise. But building the trust with myself, and it starts little. It starts so little. And as you start to build the trust in yourself on the little things, you start to see it clearer, and then you can start trusting yourself on the big things.
Yeah. Sometimes I think, like, when you're saying we start younger, right? Building the trust on the little things. I think as we get older, we don't even realize that we are trusting ourselves on little things, So then when it comes to bigger circumstances of where you really need to, feel that trust in yourself, it seems like we don't have it. Even though we do, it's like we don't, because it's like over the years, it's that whole, like, programming kinda thing. The Like you're saying, the noise gets so much louder in your head telling you, "Yeah, no, you can't do that." You know, it drowns it out, and, yeah, so I think when we're younger, trusting in ourselves is a little bit easier, and then as we progress through life, it just seems like it's this beyond reach when it's always there.
Well, like I know I lost trust in myself, before when I was, my best thinking landed me in prison. And so to learn to trust myself again, it was a process. And it was a process of learning which voices were mine and which were just thoughts that were given to me that I was told to believe, that or conclusions I had come to because of my life experience. When I was dealing drugs, when I was running around and on the streets, and at that during that I ran on pure intuition, but I was in chaos all the time, and it was like a life or death situation every day. And in that, I learned to trust myself. I learned that I'm not going to that house today because I don't have a good feeling about it. So it's like that intuition has always been with me, even when I wasn't in alignment with where I should be. And then the noise would come in. Well, you're supposed to do this and you're supposed to do that. And I'd get caught up in that. I got busted and I ended up going to a 1 year inpatient treatment center where I got to take my youngest, who was only 3 months at the time. And that place did so much for me, while at the same time, hindering me because it taught me life skills, basic skills that I didn't have. I didn't know what a budget was. I thought that when you got low on money, you just made a phone call and sold some drugs and then it was all better. And, there was just a hustle. If you needed some money, it was fine. I didn't know how to budget. I didn't know how to cook. I didn't know how to do any of that because it wasn't needed in the life that I lived before. But they also taught me that the way I thought was wrong, that there's a way to do everything. And if you don't do it that way, you're wrong. And, that never sit right with me. That's also the place where they told me that, my favorite things about myself, the things that I felt most connected to, that we are a part of something greater, that if I could just get past my thinking, I'd have all the knowledge I needed. Well, they're like, yeah, that's a symptom of your mental illness. We should medicate you because that's not right.
Yep.
And so I lost a lot of trust in that because they told me, well, that's just your bipolar. That's your mental illness. That's what's wrong with you. And it wasn't until coming to the three principles that I realized that those were symptoms of my well-being. And the mental illness was just me getting caught up in the noise and believing the noise. And so it's hard to have trust in yourself when your head is loud.
I guess mine is similar as well. Like, it started off small, whispers. And you feel it as well sometimes when everyone has this, when they have a gut feeling about something and they ignore it and then like, oh, I knew that was going to happen. Yeah, that's your wisdom talking. That's your intuition. And a lot of people ignore it all the time because it is so quiet. Especially when you have a loud voice going out all the time. And sometimes it's not just one. It feels like there's 100 different voices or 100 different thoughts going on at the same time. And so they wonder why they can't hear their own intuition, because it does, like intuition and wisdom, it doesn't need to be loud. You be in a room with two people, the loudest one's normally the most insecure. The
Yes.
quiet one is the one sitting there with pure confidence. He doesn't need to speak. The same with our wisdom, that intellect, not intellect, that intuition. It doesn't need to shout at you.
Yeah.
And when you start listening to that, it's not that it gets louder. It still speaks the same, but it feels like it's getting louder because you're trusting it more. The scene where I talk about a club with all those different people shouting, screaming, and dancing, and then that version of me, that powerful intuition version, it's not that she gets louder, it's just that the club gets quieter.
Yes.
And when we pull our attention from the noise, Whatever we give our attention to is going to seem louder.
Yeah.
And the intuition, the wisdom, it's not loud, and it doesn't come with bright, shiny bells and whistles and like, here I am, let's do this. It's more like, hey, you go
Mm.
ahead and do what you're doing, and when that doesn't work, I'll still be right here.
Yeah. And I think that's what people, they think this wisdom is going to be this loud, like magical kind of, and sometimes it can be. Sometimes it can be that, that massive insight. But sometimes it is just that quietness. And I think people think that's that's nothing because it's not loud. It's not like changing my viewpoint or anything like that. But the more you listen to that whisper, the more magic you will see in your reality. Yes. Because, like you say, it is leading you, it's guiding you all the time, and it will guide you to routes that you never even thought about. It will give you information that you never learned. The amount of things when I'll be talking to random people and then something just pops in my mind. Like, so one of my clients, I had popped in about being a ballerina. Like, I sensed this ballerina, and she'll be listening to this. So I sensed this ballerina kind of energy about her. And she said when she was younger that she did actually do ballet. I was like, that just come out of nowhere. That wasn't me. I didn't know that. That was because I was in a quiet spot and wisdom come through.